What is up, Rotogrinders? Very, very fun pre-show conversation. I want to bring that energy to the live show. Myself, Kirk Dees, a.k.a. Kid Yahoo. Myself, Head Chopper, Chopper of Heads, a.k.a. two-time millionaire winner? I don't know. Also, a phenomenal pitcher back in the day. We learned that pre-show. I don't know if he still is. I don't know if he still has any gas left in the tank. But Chop, once upon a time, lefty or righty? You a southpaw, Chop?
Where are you getting this from? I play very little organized baseball, very little. But I did have some good control as a pitcher, though.
But go ahead, Chop. Tell them about how you on the kick, the onside kick story.
When I was a sophomore and I got a chance to play varsity, I did recover an onside kick. It was a spectacular catch, Dean, of an onside kick over the head. It would have gone past me, and it saved the game. As a sophomore, it did save the game as an
They
onside.
carried him out all on – everybody put him on
Rudy
their
style?
shoulders. Yeah, and they all carried him out.
It was pretty intense, Dean. It was pretty intense.
Yeah, I saw a video of this moment. That's why I had to bring it up. It was quite electric.
Why won't Chop share the video with all of us? I want to see it now. Chopper, you have a Twitter.
You're not in the private chat, Dean.
You know, one of these days, you'll trust me enough with that video, I suppose. And that's not just any old high school football game, Chop. It's worth noting. That was high school football in Texas, where like that's all that matters, right?
It's pretty rowdy down here in the high school ranks, Dean. Yeah.
You played a linebacker? Was that your position?
For most of my career, Dean, I did play linebacker. There was a year we were short on offensive linemen, Dean, so they had to throw me in there at offensive guard.
You were a guard?
Just for one season, because I was a junior and we had some depth at linebacker. I still play a little defense, but we lost a bunch of linemen, so they fired me up, put me in at offensive guard. I have Dean, in that junior year, I did make all district first team offensive line. So I adjusted well. What
did you weigh, if you don't mind me asking, playing guard?
Most of my career around 200, 205.
That's and the rest of your line was bigger boys, I assume. And
They were some bigger guys. They're definitely bigger than me, but Dean, at guard, it's not really about, it's not about, first of all, I'm really just naturally strong, Dean, just because when I was a kid, I used to work on the shrimp boat. So, I have some natural strength on me, and it's more about the mobility at guard. You want to get at
for real. You
run, Forrest, run.
No, it's for real, Dean. You want the mobility. You want to be able to drop step, get out and pull and be a lead blocker, Dean. You want to get in there. And then when you get inside like that, there's technique. I had the best technique out there. I could get in there. I could hold, but I never got called for holding. You hold it. You use your leverage. If you just know how to use your leverage, your hand speed, you can thrive at the guard position. Dean.
The entire season, there was not one hold called on you?
The only penalty I ever had in that year was the quarterback screwed me up with a hard snap, and I flinched and I got called for it. That's the only penalty I ever had that year.
So
that's pretty remarkable.
Dean, what have we learned here? So, we've been doing shows with Chop for a long time. We now know two former occupations that he's had at one time. First, he was a shrimp farmer, Second, he was the bathroom attendant of a gentleman's club. I mean, these are just gold to these stories.
We have a lot of time here, Chop. We're here, of course, straight up the lock. We're relieved by the Crunch Time crew. You all get Kevin Roth, chief meteorologist. You get Dave Potts. You get Keith Eyster. They're going to be jumping in around 6:10, 6:15, 6:20, somewhere around there. and we'll be segueing, but we're going to be here for the next hour plus as well. 13 gamer, big boy slate. Hey, before we move on, Curtis, I'm curious, what's your big athletic prowess moment? Do you have one you can point to?
I topped out at Little League. I was an all-star, and it was very important to me, and it was like I thought I was the greatest, but the thing is I never grew much in high school. I was good younger, but then in growing up, and I had a bad arm. So I was a great shortstop, a great bat. You couldn't get me out. But I couldn't, I error throws every time. That really came back to bite me in high school baseball. And then I got pissed at the coach and I quit. It was a big thing. I played basketball too in high school.
Yeah, he's being modest. He's being modest. Come on, he's being modest. We saw him at the RG game enforcing.
If you saw me like 10, 15 years ago, you'd have a whole different impression. But Father Time gets the best of everybody, as you know, Chop.
Yeah, it does. Look at Kevin Durant right now.
Oh wow! Come on, you don't think Durant's done? He's just having a rough series so far. He'll be fine, right?
Father Time gets everybody, Dean.
He had the Achilles too. It's like theoretically nobody comes back from the Achilles, right? Nobody comes back nearly as good as they once were, and he's looked remarkable outside his first couple of games. Do you have any quick takes, Chop?
CSU Ram has come back, I think, right?
True, very true.
Yeah.
Athletically or just like life-wise, you mean? Or both?
All the above.
Okay.
Yeah, he's done the whole get in the gym and hit about like a 70% clip on 3-pointers.
I haven't seen this mix.
You haven't seen that video?
No. That's also in your secret Discord, I presume, right next to your video.
I think they did that public. I think that was a public wager one time.
Shout out to YouTube chat right now. Stan the Man Kruger. They call him Stan the Man back in high school. He had 3 career sacks in his high school football. So I just wanted to shout him out for that.
There you go. Anybody else? Put your great athletic prowess. Let the people know.
Oh wow, Herbert Good was his Chop came in because he said he was Chop's shrimp boat captain.
Oh, there you go. Do you remember Herbert, Chopper?
Doesn't sound familiar, but
maybe Herb. You might have called him Herb, possibly.
Herbsy.
I gotta pull up the chat because is he saying he was my boss?
He was saying he was his shrimp boat captain. Yeah. He
was your Forrest or you were his bubble. I don't know how that works, but yeah. I don't know.
I can't imagine someone would lie about that.
No, who would make that up?
Yeah. Come on.
Seems preposterous.
I'll think about it.
13-game big boy slate going down tonight. Weather-wise, a little bit dicey, potentially in Detroit. Want to hear what Roth has to say about that? It's currently yellow-orange. If you pull up the weather page, that is free, obviously. Nothing else really jumping off the page. Winds are blowing out to right field for New York. We'll talk about the Yankees soon enough. Have been more disappointing than not, but they are at least well-positioned tonight to just do some things, theoretically. And we're seeing yellow-green in Minnesota. By the way, I know Byron Buxton. He's not playing baseball tonight. I don't know if it was a planned day off or he came back yesterday, and already he's not playing again today. We'll see how that goes down. Hopefully he is fine, but he is not in the lineup today. So bump up to Kopech, who we'll be talking about as far as our pitchers. Going to talk pitchers, going to talk stacks, going to talk about, go around the horn, do the whole deal. Whatever, if you guys aren't talking about like your great athletic prowess in high school and you want to have any questions as far as this slate, producer Steve will put those questions and he will throw them my way. I'll ask them on your behalf. Plenty of time to knock that out. Or if you have any general thought, general strategy questions regarding the slate. I feel like this is the biggest slate we've had all season long. I don't know. Is that correct, Chop? 13 games?
Is it? Can you hear me, Dean?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I didn't catch the last part. I think pulling up the YouTube messed up my internet.
Yeah, no worries. I was just asking, I think tonight's the biggest slate we've had all season, I want to say, because it's the way we've had a lot of day games as the season's kind of gotten underway. 13 games going down. Yeah. Do you have a different approach? Any sort of different strategy? For me, I think ownership's a little less important. Just kind of play your guys, play your stacks, that kind of thing. But do you think there's anything different as far as a 13 gamer as opposed to like a 5 or a 7 or a 10?
Yeah, it's definitely different. And you're right, the ownership doesn't matter as much. And I get a lot of guff for this from people, but the whole stacking thing in baseball is, on a 13-game slate, I'm much more likely to like fully engage in stacking as opposed to a smaller slate where I do a lot less stacking. And I use the term organic stacking, just kind of let it happen sometimes. But tonight, I think you force things in on a slate that's this big, because now you bump up the likelihood that there is going to be a team out there, and it usually comes from the top half of the team totals, Vegas team total. Very rarely do you get down there and stack against a really good pitcher with a low team total and get it. But so you can kind of narrow it down to a certain amount of teams, and they'll, much more likely that one of them absolutely destroys it, and you need to stack that team. But Dean, I will say this much: we've seen the MLB this year has been like no MLB in the last two and a half decades with the low scoring. So maybe stacking is not in the cards. But then Kirk has another theory on why maybe you need to stack even more now.
Yeah, I think that's exactly. I think you need to stack more now. I'm with you. I've been, I had my heyday. I said, a couple of years ago when with the juiced baseball, when everybody was stacking, and I was like, just give me the home runs. I was just picking out home runs and organically stacking, as you say. I used to call it cash lineups on steroids, literally. And so that was great then, but I'm like completely opposite now. It's like you need to find that game where that's, it could be just 6 runs, in this environment that we're at right now, right? Like we're not seeing crazy home runs. I think it will improve. I'm not so sure if the ball is dejuiced and all of that, but because it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you dejuice the baseball? Like the product needs home runs. It just it just doesn't make sense. So I'm still holding out thinking like maybe this isn't true, but and it's more weather related. But I've got my patent pending weather system, crunching the numbers. I'm still not out with that, but when I make my findings, I'll let it be known here. But we're working on it.
Do we have an ETA on that by chance? So 2027.
It's never going public, Dean.
Hiccup after hiccup.
I got a question. I got a question for you, Dean.
Yeah.
Worst management team. Who's run their business into the ground worse? Major League Baseball, top or top shits? Which one has run their product into the ground worse?
Oh God,
man,
top shits.
Well, I would say it's MLB because they were at a higher level. They had more to drop. The Top Shots just kind of sort of came out of nowhere and they set their own bar. But the way baseball runs things, and it's so deplorable. Manfred is an absolute disaster at the top. Some of the organizations involved, a lot of things that they do, a lot of the decisions they make. If you have MLB.TV and if you're living in certain areas, if you have like the package, you still can't watch like 6 teams because if you're within 300 miles of the Reds, you can't watch the Reds. It's like, well, I'm not going to go drive 300 miles to watch the Reds. I just want to watch them on TV. It's things like that. Like now there's deals on not everybody has everything, Amazon or Apple. And, and if you want to watch the Yankees tonight, I think you got to watch them on Amazon or something like that.
But this whole Apple TV thing is so annoying because I got like my setup for everything. I have Apple TV, but now it's like another TV. I got to have, it's a whole thing.
They do such a horrific job of marketing their players. They even screw up Ohtani. Like Ohtani is the easiest person to market in the world. And like, he's in like an MLB, the show commercial. It's just like dumb. Like make this guy fun. Encourage fun. Like, the thing with Jazz, like Jazz is a fun player. Embrace that. Why is that so hard when he does the Euro step, coming in the home plate? And then I see somebody, it was amazing. I saw it on Twitter, but I saw somebody like saying, no, plunk him next time. And he responded like, plunk your mama or something like that. It was awesome. But like how that is in the culture of baseball is so stupid. Like, let's just have fun. Let's embrace it. And, that's one of the best things about basketball is the trash talking. Like, why is that not a thing in baseball? Bat flips, throw the bat 100 feet when you hit a homer. Just launch it like it's a pole vault.
Break it. You got to break it over your leg and then throw both pieces up. Like that's the
Bo Jackson style. But did you expect that answer, Chopper? I went on a whole rant. Who has time for such things?
That's a good answer, Dean. Although I will say, Broham kind of stuffed his wallet and then got in, got out after he stuffed his wallet. So I don't know.
Is Broham the guy who runs Top Shots?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
Also, I've heard that there's another Broham. I think Broham is also a well-known Discord, a big time fantasy player that hides behind the Discord name Broham.
I feel like you're making allegations, but I have no idea what you're saying. But
yeah, it may or may not be a burner. We don't know that for sure, Dean.
Okay. By the way, Chop, you're talking about as far as the slate tonight. No team, not one. And it kind of speaks to how baseball's been so far this year. And again, if they are dejuicing baseballs and they're trying to suppress homers, good Lord, baseball, what are you doing? Don't you realize that's more homers, the better. Offense is fun. I mean, every once in a while, I guess a pitcher's duel is exciting, like a 1-0 game in the playoffs or something like that. But, homers, balls in play, that kind of stuff is good. I don't know what the combination is. I assume weather is probably the biggest factor as far as why homers are down. There's not one team, Curtis, on this slate.
In spring training and the lack of spring training, I think people just aren't geared up yet.
But, okay, my counter to that is, wouldn't it hurt pitchers more than what hurt batters?
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point.
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine it takes pitchers longer to ramp up than hitters, but I have no idea. Not one team, Curtis, has a team total above 5 today. So even organic stacking isn't really happening. Not really. I mean, sure, you can if you focus. There's no teams that are really saying that's the team. Oh man, I can't imagine not having Yankees today. That's going to be such a sphincter clincher if I'm going to fade them, and because they can stink just like everybody else can stink.
No, they do stink. Not they can. They've stunk every goddamn night this season so far.
They've had some games where they put up multiple double-digit runs. It just happened a while ago. It did happen.
These guys stink, and that's why I have a pitching play tonight. That's gonna.
You're not playing Eli Morgan. Stop.
No, I'm not. But it's a very similar situation.
Okay. So yeah, did you want to give your thoughts, Curtis? Anything else regarding just sort of 14 game slate?
Stack it up tonight. I mean, in single entries you can make them a little smaller. You can do double. Make it a 4-3 or whatever, and play your Trout and Ohtani. I'm sure everyone's gonna be having that build tonight. But stack them up and let's go. I mean, we got to find the right games, and there's some of these games are going to go off. They just have to. There's some bad bullpens in play here. We'll break it down.
Also, the bullpens are just these pitchers are just throwing 100, 103, 102. People are just throwing gas. It's just hard to hit baseballs, man. And back in the day, you didn't have guys throwing 95 coming out of the bullpen, but now it's just on the reg. Everybody does that. All right, well, let's talk about the slate tonight, Chop. Your Houston Astros, the team that they would do anything to win. The Houston Astros. You got Justin Verlander back tonight. He seems to be the pretty clear, number one pitcher on the slate. Looks good. Missed an entire season. Looks pretty solid. The tricky part, of course, he's facing Toronto. Toronto, solid offense. They are without Teoscar Hernandez. Do not see it. Is there a lineup come out just yet? I don't believe it is. I assume Springer's going to be in it. He did pinch hit yesterday. He got hit in the hand. X-rays were negative, so I imagine he'll give it a go. The back half's still kind of rough too. With Springer, Bichette, Vladdy. It's a tough 1 through 3, if nothing else. But Verlander, Chop, is he your top guy? I think he's the best guy, and it's not hard at all to pay for him. Is the other part of it.
I think he ranks as the number one guy. Sure, is he the guy I'm most interested in? No, probably not. But he has looked good coming back from the injury, and I know Toronto has the ability to put up runs in bunches, but they can also strike out. So when I look over the landscape of these pitchers, he's probably the only one that, given how deep he can work into games right now and the strikeout ability, he's probably the one that can put up this monster, can't win without him score at pitcher. I like these other guys. And I like the guy that Kirk's going to tell you too. I like several guys. But I'm not sure they hold the same upside as Verlander, but he also is a tough matchup. I'm interested in several guys about equally. And so, yeah, you're right. It's not that hard to fit him in there if you want to, but I like some of these other guys too, though.
Curtis, what's your thoughts as far as Verlander? And then I'm curious to figure out who your next guy would be. It's Skubal or Kopech.
Yeah, so they've thrown a wrench into my plan with Scuba on the weather. That was the last thing I didn't check.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Verlander incredible. I mean, he had a great first start, coming back from Tommy John's, looked better than we ever expected. He got 17 swinging strikes. He got 37% called strike whiff. He threw 87 pitches. He went 8 innings. So yes, now the problem is Toronto is a tough matchup, but there's a lot of tough matchups, and Ace is going to ace. And, so he earns the top play tonight. The guy that I'm honing in on at this point is Freddie Peralta. So Peralta has looked bad so far, right? And it's because he hasn't had his slider going. And he had a couple of bumps in the road here. So, however, everybody's off of him, it feels like, tonight. And everyone, I think, is overestimating the Phillies. I think the Phillies have a lot of big home run bats, very similar to the Yankees, but they're also going to have plenty of nights where they can't hit anything, right? And so this is a matchup that I'm going to be much higher on. I'm going to leverage on the ownership on Peralta when people are down on him, and people are now kind of high back on the Phillies after they had one decent game in their last game at Coors. They're now coming home after the Coors hangover. So Peralta's my guy tonight. And then there's a lot of other good pitchers here. I mean, we've got plenty of ways to play this.
Is Peralta going to throw strikes? That's the tricky part. He's been walking too many guys. Everything is small samples early in the season. Hoskins is a patient hitter. Harper, 15.6% as far as walks. Schwarber will take his walks too. You are right. There are some strikeouts in that lineup, in Hoskins and Schwarber and Real Muto and Baum. Collectively, not a ton, 21%. That's not a huge number. I think he's a really interesting tournament play, though. I do agree with you, because I don't think anybody wants to play Peralta tonight. And, his first start, I bet you he was chalk. I don't remember who he faced. We could pull it up. Doesn't matter. But 33.5%.
He the Cubs in one of those crazy weather games where the weather was really cold, but the wind was also all over the place. And then he had a terrible outing against the Cardinals.
Yeah. So big Ks, big walks, doesn't really give up a lot of homers historically, right? He's just, I think it's really interesting for tournaments, certainly not for my cash games, but I like it. I like it for tournaments, and it absolutely could blow up in our faces in Philadelphia. He can hit 3 or 4 homers off him, or he just can't throw strikes. We'll see. Don't have umpire information just yet for what it's worth. No lineup HQ, new series. So umpire data is not out until really close until the first game. What do you think, Chop, as far as Peralta? Because I think it's a good big swing for large field. And this is a guy that's had some dominant games, 12, 13 strikeout games.
Yeah. I like Peralta. I like him tonight. I'm with Kirk on the matchup thing. Let's attack some of these high strikeouts. I mean, he's a far better pitcher than he's shown so far this year. We know that for a fact. The guy's got great stuff. So I'm willing to keep riding that thing until he gets into form. Like Kirk said, this is like spring training for a lot of these guys right now. So they haven't hit their peak. He's going to hit it, and I like this matchup for him. So I'm on the Peralta train tonight. Let me see. Ownership is super low on FanDuel because he's priced just underneath Justin Verlander, and of course he's not going to get nearly the projection as there's 6 or 7 guys above him. So we can get some good ownership on him. I like Peralta a lot. He's one of the guys, like I said, probably about 6 guys I really like tonight that I'll use, and he's definitely one of them.
All right, well, let's play the feud, Chopper. All right, I'm going to throw out. We got 2 of them. We got Peralta. We have Verlander, right?
Correct.
All right, we're going to play the feud. Myself and Kirk D's. If I get something wrong, we'll go to Kirk D's. But I think. Are you playing predominantly FanDuel, DK? Does it matter for the feud?
I am only playing FanDuel tonight.
I'm glad I asked that question.
I mean, we got a show, Dean. We're bumping up against live. We got basketball. I just can't do 2 sites and multiple sports on both. So I'm going to just limit it to baseball, just to FanDuel.
You can't multitask, Job?
I don't have that kind of drive.
It's tough, man. Multi-sports, same time lock, multi, sites, and then you run in with like a, God forbid, like a CSV error or something. Like if you're trying, chop some big maxer. So it's gets tough.
Or some weight scratches that'll throw things off as well too.
USFL starting tonight. It's
Are
crazy.
you
UFC tomorrow? I got to drive to New Hampshire to put bets in.
Well, wait, USFL is on Friday night, so that was Saturday, Sunday. There's a game tonight?
There's the slate kicks off tonight.
Can you tell me who's playing?
I could if I had it pulled up, but I don't have it pulled up right now.
We do have USFL content, by the way. If you guys are playing that,
yeah,
it's a part
it's
of
great.
Is it great? I honestly,
it is good. I mean, it's the best USFL content that's out there, but there's just not that much content out there.
I know Jamito's been working on it. I think is Vinepour involved in that as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's just the projection team, so I'm pretty sure it's Jamino and the projection team. But yeah, it's really good.
If you have RG Premium, if you have the combo package, you got USFL as well, and lineup HQ access and all that. You can make optimizer stuff and all that. So feel free to play yourself some USFL football this evening. Oh, and we should mention now that we're talking about our content and the basketball tonight. If you do not have a premium RG. Rotogrinders Premium, you can get if you're playing the Slate tonight, the the NBA playoff primer. I believe Alan wrote this. That is free. The premium NBA playoff primer. It's free for everybody. So feel free to check that out. I believe it's a 3-game slate going down. I know my Miami Heat are playing. I saw Bam Adebayo is questionable. I assume he's going to play. We shall see. But there you go. Give that a read if you'd like. All right. Chops for other 4 favorite pitchers. I'm going to say, Skubal. I think Tarek Skubal's, and he's especially on FanDuel 7.9K, pretty reasonable price. He's in your pool.
Ding, 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 ding. You got I'm gonna call him the number. He's 5 on the board. Yeah. I'm not really I love the matchup, Colorado away from Coors Field. I like the pitcher himself. I think he's gonna be a really good pitcher one day. He's still young. I think he's got a lot of upside. And unlike Kirk, I'm not really worried about the weather here because I said this a while back. Some people have said Roth lost his fastball, and that orange yellow doesn't mean what it used to. That orange. Speaking of Durant, not being able to dribble anymore.
Did Roth have an Achilles? Is that
some say Roth has lost his ability to dribble here? So
I'm going to add one quick story to that.
But just a heads up, Roth is going to be on, and we can let him know that he lost his fastball.
I totally disagree. I think Roth is one of the greatest in the industry. This is a chop take. However, I want to just let it be known that last season, in the very beginning, he said that there was no rain in Boston, and he couldn't believe that they postponed the game because it wasn't raining. And I live in Boston, and I was outside, and it rained on top of me. So you can't tell me it didn't rain. So once that happened, so if that plane,
I think he's speaking to Fenway Park when he said it's not raining in Boston.
Well, it was raining on me, and I was right.
You live in Fenway Park?
There. Very close.
You live on third base. All right, fair enough. It's a pretty cool spot. Location.
So I don't know. I'm torn. I'm torn.
I'm just going to yield to see what Roth has to say, but I think Skubal should be, in the conversation as far as like you said, good live arm, a pretty big prospect, and the matchup against Colorado. You get Colorado outside of Coors; they're pretty rough. Not a great strikeout matchup, surprisingly. This Colorado lineup's pretty contact heavy. When you add in, Iglesias at the lineup, Grichuk they added this year is more of a contact guy, 19.2%. But you don't necessarily need like 10 Ks to make that work. Kirk Dees, throw another name at the board for Chopper. But and you agree with Skubal?
Oh, I love Skubal. He's like the key to my slate tonight.
All right.
My favorite pairing is just Skubal Peralta. So weather will be important for me. Kyle Wright is another guy I like. It's tougher on DraftKings where his price is extremely high. He's dirt cheap over on Yahoo, which is crazy. Now it's not that crazy because there's the book hasn't been written on him yet, but he's looked really good. He's got a nice array of pitches. He can go about 94, 95 miles per hour. He got 12 whiffs or swinging strikes in his last start against the Padres, 9 Ks. So, I'm on board because I like the matchup, obviously, with the Marlins. So that's another guy I like. Who else am I? So I'm interested in Detmers. The big prospect who's looked pretty bad, to say the least so far. But I'm also interested, against playing the Orioles, which I did last night which helped me out with. Who did I play with the B? Who did I play last night? I was all in on him. Blackburn.
Yeah, for Oakland, his velocity's been up this year. I didn't see what it was yesterday.
Yep, he pitched well. It was good enough. So I'll attack this lineup for sure. Other than that, I mean, there's so many options. We got Kopech. We've got Zach Gallen, who I don't think is quite right yet, but his price is certainly right. So that's interesting to, just trying to take a leap of faith, see if we can get a good start. I don't want any tie on tonight. I don't know. There's plenty of options.
Right. Wright's a little bit more expensive than you think he should be, but the matchup's pretty good there against Miami. They did figure out that Jazz Chisholm shouldn't be batting ninth anymore. They figured good for them. He's batting first tonight, but still, plenty of Ks in that lineup. Even Jazz strikes out a good bit, 22.9% collectively. And, I think there's a value in win equity, and you don't need those win points, but we'll take them. Pretty good Ks on Wright as well, 26.5%. Walks a few too many guys. This Miami lineup can be patient, a few guys here and there. Cooper, Soler, Anderson, and Stallings, namely 9.3% collectively as far as walks. Chop, what do you want to say? Well, yeah, Detmers was thrown out there. Wright was thrown out there. Do those kind of match up with your feud board?
Yes, those were two of the guys on the board. Detmers and Wright are up there, and Detmers is just a nice young prospect there, man. And Baltimore is very below average offense, so I'm good with that one. Kyle Wright, I really like. That's a pretty decent matchup, and so yeah, I'm on them. There's only one other name on my board, and it's not even really. It'd be like the very last. It's number 6 on the board. It's the very last one, but I'll take some shots on him on FanDuel. I was trying to find the pitch count, but I got sidetracked. But it's David Peterson. Just in the off chance. Do you know who David Peterson is?
I'm aware of his existence. I don't know.
Is he pitching tonight?
I believe so.
Okay, then I'm thinking about rostering him. Like I say, he's number 6 on the board. I understand the other guys that we can whip through, but I've seen enough of Arizona this year. They might be one of the worst offenses in the history of the game. So I'll take a shot at anybody on him. I want him to get out of the 5th inning and maybe have a chance at a win. I think he can get out. I think he can get through 5. I think he can maybe get through 6 here against this team. He don't need but about 70 pitches against theirs. They're really bad. So I think he's just a guy I'll throw into some GPPs, 150 max. I'm on it, but obviously he's not as good as the other guy. He's not as good as a Ranger Suarez or like Kirk said. Kopech is really good. He's a really talented kid, but I'll take some shots at the
pitch count, right? Kopech.
He's the one you really got to watch for pitch count, but he's got such electric stuff. He can get you. He can mow him down pretty good. But I'll take a shot on Peterson.
Yeah, Kopech, he could strike out 10 and 5, and also Minnesota without Buxton too. And that lineup gets ugly. You're speaking of bad lineups. Minnesota, Rise is annoying because he doesn't strike out, but he's not anybody we're fearing. Correa, Shore, Polanco, Kepler, Urshela is rough. Larnick, and then you got Sanchez and Sano, who are just, those are Ks on layaway, man. And then there's, Nick Gordon's whatever. I don't know how many times he's going to go through that lineup, maybe 2.5. And ideally you want to get Sanchez and Sano a third time around. I don't, what do we do with Kopech here, Kirk Dees? Because I want to get some of him in tournaments, and he's the guy that could have the most strikeouts in the slate, even if he only throws like 80 baseballs. Did we lose Kirk Dees?
I see his lips moving.
Is Kirk Dees on mute?
I'm on mute. Wow. First time for me. I usually am good about that. The dog was barking and I had him on. Okay, so I'm on board with Kopech. So the pitch count is a concern for sure. And the reason why it's kind of magnified with him, because he doesn't have the best command at times. Just 2 walks in his last game, but against the Rays did have 13 swinging strikes, 35% quality strike whiffs. He's still coming along, right? Through 75 pitches, we can see a little more of an increase. Now, this could go very wrong for you, right? Like his command could be off. It could be a short outing. And at the price that he's commanding over on DraftKings at 8,400, it could go wrong. But like you said, this lineup is just not very good without Buxton in it. You know, it takes a big downgrade. There are Ks there, like you said. And if he's got everything working, which he's got a great arsenal of pitches, if he's got his fastball commanding and doing his thing, then yeah, he can rack up a bunch of Ks here. So I'm on board with him. It's definitely for GPP only. And I'm sure whatever he comes in as, somebody's going to tweet out, people played Kopech with a pitch count. DFS will never die or something, something like the smartest guy on Twitter.
Names.
I don't know. There's probably two, but this one takes the cake.
Cardi does have him projected to throw 84 baseballs. That's really good. If that's what he is at. I think he threw, I know he threw 69 in his first
75
start.
in his last one.
Yeah. I mean, he coming out of the bullpen, and that's why his strikeout numbers are somewhat skewed, right? But if you date it back to last year, he's got the biggest Ks in the slate, 34.8%. That's awesome. And then Minnesota lineup, you pull up the old play IQ as well. It's front loaded with the contact guys and back loaded with all the strikeout guys. So maybe ideally, you don't want to get the guys that hit the ball 3 times and the guys that don't 2 times, but that's how it works out. But like Larnack, 31%, Sanchez, 30%, Gordon, 25%, Sano, 37%. When has Sano ever hit 9th, by the way? I feel like that's like the first time that's ever happened before. Maybe it hasn't, but I've never noticed Sano. You don't think of him as like a number 9 hitter, but that's, he's clearly the all or nothing guy.
He's clearly a number 1 hitter. He should be these days. Like
he's the Daniel Vogelback type.
Yeah.
I did just want to mention, I thought it was, worth noting, for the Angels, and he may end up my cash lineups as my SP2 Detmers, and Dave Potts. Cheese is good. You'll hear from him about a half hour or so. He's going to be joining for Crunch Time, which is free on the old YouTube. Hey, YouTube, hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. That is appreciated. He was talking about in his article about him just getting BABIP early. And by the way, Chopper, Dave, he hasn't lost his fastball. You don't want to make any more accusations, do you?
Jeez. No, I'm sure he still knows what he's. I mean, listen. Here's the thing about. I'm not going to say he lost his fastball,
no.
But I'm going to say that maybe, maybe his he's out there winning in NHL GPPs now and
CS:GO,
LOL, the LOL stuff online. I don't know how I got.
He can multitask. Online.
So maybe he's not devoting as much time to watching the film as he used to. But we teach his own, man.
I think I saw him winning a basketball tournament too, which I don't think he knows anything about basketball. But yeah, Detmers has an awesome matchup against Baltimore. The projected lineup is 25.8% as far as strikeouts versus lefties. There's some power in there in Mountcastle and Mancini, but there's so many strikeouts that he's certainly worth a look, and he's due for some positive regression. Give me a summary, Kirk Dees, as far as pitchers.
Verlander's your top guy. Popular pairing is probably going to be with Screwball. Detmers is definitely in play. May not get people may not want to play him. I know Cheese wrote him up and pretty high on him, so I'm sure ownership will come in there. But Michael Kopech in play for me. I'm all aboard with Freddie Peralta. I know it won't be the popular play tonight. People think. He's got to show me first, but we know what this guy is capable of. I think
you're playing him in cash. You're playing cash.
I mean, I'm not playing cash tonight, but I might be playing. I will be playing cash on Yahoo, so I might very well have him in there. But definitely, I mean, whatever I'm in on DK and my single entry stuff, I'll be playing Peralta Screwball.
Respect.
Yep.
Chop, what do you want to add to that? Oh, go
ahead. Bailey Ober is another guy that interests me. The White Sox have just not been hitting. This guy has strikeout stuff for sure. He's got a good future ahead of him. So I can get behind that. And Kyle Wright, I mentioned earlier. And then really, if you want to cheap and try to just hope that he comes out of the woodworks against allegedly the best team in baseball, the Mets. That's what producer is saying. Yeah. Who I have to
again?
I have to shout out that he's a good time on Twitter. He just tilts all night long on Twitter, which I respect. So, follow him. I think it's at Sosa or something. He can tell us what it is. We'll tell him. Anyways, but yeah, Zach Gallen is, if you really want to, go cheap and get some bats in there, then on that.
By the way, no George Springer, so it makes Verlander look a little bit better. Tapia leading off, Bichette, Vladdy, Gurriel, Collins, Chapman, Kirk, Espinal, Zimmer is the Toronto lineup. Dodgers looks back, Betts up top, Freeman, Trey Turner, Muncy, Justin Turner, Smith, Bellinger, Chris Taylor, then Lux. Lineups kind of sprinkling on through here. There's the Padres. Nola, Machado, Cronenworth, Voit, Profar, Hosmer, Myers, Kim, and Grisham. Chop, what do you want to add as far as pitchers, or is there anything else you think that's necessary to add? I know you put a lot out already.
There's nothing much to add, but I will say that I'm really disappointed today in my internet connection for some reason. I pay top dollar for Spectrum, and it's given me a lot of problems. So if I'm a little bit behind on the cutting out for some reason today, it's crushing me. But I apologize for that. I should have reset my router before we got on the show, but it didn't occur to me. So, but we got the pitching covered. I don't have anything else to add.
Chop, give me some of your favorite stacks. We're going to go around the horn pretty quickly as well. So give me some of your favorite stacks. We'll probably play a stack game later on as well. If we don't talk about a stack, feel free to ask us about them. We'll do our best to talk about it. But again, there's no team that has a total above 5. So there's no incredible stack on paper. I will say on DK, I don't know what the Braves did to DraftKings, but it's not as crazy it was the other day, but they're still really, really cheap, the Braves. And I think they're going to be reasonably popular for a 13-game slate. That's how that goes. But what do you have, Chop, as some of your favorite stacks before we kind of go around the horn?
I think that based on what I saw on Lineup HQ earlier with the leverage and the stack ownership projections and the stack smash percentage and all that stuff, I kind of like the Angels. I think they weren't garnering enough ownership. Maybe that was earlier. Maybe it changed, but I like the Angels quite a bit. There was way too much excitement for the Yankees. They seemed like they were going to be way overowned against Eli Morgan. I don't know if I'm going to fade them altogether, but I certainly won't be on par with the field on that ownership. They low-key stink, man. The Yankees do. So, let's just I'm seeing probably not as much ownership for the Giants, but I think there's a chance there against Corbin, who's really hit or miss and has really been a lot more missed these last couple of years. So I think maybe the Giants are pretty good. And, after that, it's kind of just anybody's guess right there. I don't there's nobody else that really jumps off to me. Although if I'm going to take a look at what's the Detroit lineup look like. There were one I had circled earlier.
Grossman, Meadows, Cabrera, Candelario, Mouthwash, Scope, Torkelson, Castro, Barnhart, and then Badu.
That is not pretty without Baez in there, man. So it's not a great lineup. I do like the matchup here, though. It's you get a pitch to contact hitter like Sinzentala or a pitcher like Sinzentala. I like Detroit. Sinzentala.
Okay.
I still think the best show I think that we should have on. We got to take it's Face Off, the Luch versus Chop, and we play the name game and read the names. I think that would be an electric show.
Some of your favorite stack, Kirk D's, and I think there's some good conversations to talk about. I'm not ready to bury the Yankees just yet. Eli Morgan has given up 2 homers per 9 dating back to last season. And it's actually pretty decent hitting weather in New York, especially when you compare it to everywhere else. I like Chop's Astros. I'm surprised he didn't mention the Astros. Stripling can be kind of reverse splitsy. And, you got those Crawford boxes right down the left field line. Bregman's going to go yard today. There's a home run call for the people. I like your Astros, Chopper. And the Giants one, man, there are some cheap Giants that are popping in optimals. I know it's LOL. but like Austin Slater leading off, like when a righty comes in, he's gone, I think. I want to get your take on that, Kirk D. Is Slater, like Ruff is another guy who's like makes first base, cash game very easy on DK if you want to just get in cheap and get out. How many of these guys are gone? Because you can't replace them all, but Slater righty, Flores righty, Ruff righty. When Corbin's out, and the Nationals have a pile of guys in that bullpen, a bunch of them are righties, obviously. How are you approaching that?
Yeah, it's tough because like I do want to go after Corbin, and I certainly want to go after that bullpen. And when Chop was saying that Arizona may be one of the worst hitting teams, I agree with that. But that's also an indictment on just how bad this pitching staff for the Nationals is, where they put up like 14 runs or whatever it was the other day on. So I know. So that's the problem here with the Giants, is that there's pitch hit risk up, 18% pinch hit risk, which is significant for Slater.
I'll take the over
Wilmer
on that.
Flores.
I'll take
for Wilmer Flores, for Darren Ruff. And then he's got, a couple of other guys that are over 10%. So, I mean, like there's no other way that you can't ruin a stack worse than losing your guy. So it's tough, but yeah, I agree with the Slater one. So I think Flores will stay in the game. They've been, riding him out. So I think you can get a nice stack still with that team, but I definitely do like that stack. Other guys that are homer prone that we're looking to go against tonight on this slate is this pitcher for Oakland. So, certainly a massive home run per 9.
Well, it's a really small sample on him, right? It's
correct, but he also has yes, it is. But but it makes sense, and this is also a team that's overachieving at this point right now, and that even their pen ranks to be projected pretty awful. So Texas is like one of my favorite stacks tonight.
Rendon, Ward, Duffy, Mayfield, Stassi. Odell's all right, but like he should be hitting ahead a couple of those guys. And then Velasquez, like it's so bad. Yeah. I mean, you're just supposed to stack the first 3 and that's it. Well, what do you do with the Angels?
I mean, that's pretty easy to do. It's really, when in single entry and 3 max stuff, just pumping in Trout and Ohtani is pretty good. And so really the only one you're missing is Rendon from there. But, you're going to get you're going to get Taylor Ward, who's been playing in the 4 spot, batting cleanup. Certainly there. The bottom, Odell is a guy who can do some damage, both with the bat and with some speed. And Velasquez stinks, but I don't mind playing him kind of the wraparound there, 9-1-2-3 or 9-1-2-3-4 or something like that. So yeah, I'm on board with the Angels. I love the Angels. It's it's one of the nicer weather spots we have. It's got winds blowing out at about 11 miles per hour to right field. So yeah, and that's the problem is it's their lineup is a lot weaker without Walsh, without some of these other guys. So, but Zimmerman has pitched well, but I don't think I'm not buying into him at all. Are you?
I think he's fine, but like I don't think he's good. That's
also the Orioles have the best bullpen according to WAR and XFIP and stats as so far this season.
That's because they crushed the Yankees, and their bullpen was amazing against the Yankees, and that's because the Yankees are terrible.
So we have a friend who lives out there, and he reads Cheese every day, and every time Cheese says he highlights her, it says, and this Baltimore bullpen, he's like, oh, you mean the number 1 ranked Baltimore bullpen you want to attack?
Well, it's not going to be number 1 in the season.
Of course not. Should definitely be attacking that. But I like that. I love the Astros. I like so much tonight from the hitting side. I only like so much because there's not a lot to love.
There's nothing to
love. Yeah, exactly. So it's just like I like a lot of these offenses. I like the Astros. I like the Angels. I like the Giants. I like the Rangers. If I want to get sneaky, Detroit is definitely a spot that I like. But weather permitting as well for that one. Waiting on Roth.
Let's hit up go around the horn. Start with catcher. You don't have the roster on the FanDuel. DK requires one. Chop, I know you're not playing on DK because you're playing on FanDuel exclusively, but if you were, a good place to save some salary, and like we'll talk about the Braves. Travis d'Arnaud is not spectacular, but he's 2.2K, batting fifth in a positive ballpark. Trevor Rogers, pretty good arm, but he's scuffling so far this year. That's kind of my punt du jour. I think if I want to make stuff work, he might my cash game catcher. We'll see. Of course, you can always spend up on guys like Perez, who can bang out a couple homers. Your approach to catcher tonight, you're probably not playing anybody in FanDuel. Maybe Grandal. Is he in the lineup?
Yeah, there's very few catchers who would make my player pool being on FanDuel. So and they're the expensive kind. They're certainly not the cheap kind. So I'm not, the spend ups, the typical names. Salvador Perez is in the mix, and Mitch Garver and those kind of guys. But I'm with you. If I'm on DraftKings, my usual DraftKings thing is to punt the catcher spot. No need to spend up for it. And maybe this Cleveland catcher, he's $2,600 on something like give me somebody under 3K as high in the bat. This is what I do with catcher on DraftKings when I play. Filter it down to like under 32, 3,100, and look for anybody as high in the batting order as possible, and not really worry about matchups. Just try to save money and get all my at bats.
Garver at 3.7K. It's not against a lefty preferred, but that Aller looks pretty rough so far for Oakland. Bad ballpark, obviously, but in for 9 innings, pretty decent shot at 5.8.
I like Garver. Let me pull it up here. So for catcher tonight, and we're talking DraftKings.
The Braves.
Yeah, it's making. I mean, it's just too easy. I'm gonna play Braves tonight. It's just like a no-brainer, especially for cash at 2,200. Salvador Perez obviously brings the upside. Flexen is a guy that the bat's going to be spitting out tonight. I think I was getting some when I was running some optimal stuff. I was getting a lot of Flexen. I'm definitely not playing Flexen, but I will definitely be looking to play some bats against him. So these guys run too, but Salvador Perez is the top of the list for the power on that team. Did Big Willie make the lineup?
Who's big? Who now?
Yep, Willie Smith. Will Smith.
Big Willie style. Is that the reference to?
Yeah.
It took me a second to get there. Yeah.
And I mean, any of these guys who can bang one out, or whoever matches your stack.
First base, there's a lot of
sorry. So I think Zunino, batting number 9. No one's gonna want. Who knows all about that?
He knows all about that.
Chopper, you need a cough drop or something?
What's up, Chop? You all right? we gotta send paramedics over there.
We're good. Let's go to first base, Dean.
So there's a lot of options at first. Otani, of course, you can spend up on him. If you want to spend all the way down, we talked about Darren Ruff against Corbin, who's got home run issues, is especially vulnerable to righties. He's super, super cheap, but there is an opportunity cost. You got Freddie versus Martinez in San Diego. Martinez doesn't look spectacular. I still am going to play some Yankees. So I think Rizzo is in play for me. I know the Yankees have been annoying of late, but we care about tonight and tonight only. Who cares what happened yesterday? Who cares what happens tomorrow in DFS? I'll play some Yankees. I'm sure I'll have some Rizzo as well. Curtis, obviously, if you have all the money in the world, I think Otani is the best play if you have the salary. If you don't have any salary, I think it's rough, and there's guys in the middle. What's your thoughts?
It's 2 outfield eligible. But yeah, he's the number one. Freddie Freeman. I mean, he's coming to life now against the Braves. We'll see if it carries over against the Padres. But obviously a big upside bat. Pete Alonso is there. A guy who I kind of like tonight, if you need to go down, if you need to for some salary spending, is Trey Mancini with the platoon. I'm all about that. Matt Olson with, nobody likes playing Matt Olson. He's going to get ownership though.
He's cheap. Again,
I take an overweight approach on these Braves, even though they're so cheap, but there's just too much upside there. So I'll take advantage of the pricing, but Marcus Semien for sure. I like Texas a lot against Oakland. You get a little of that old revenge narrative,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Get the good feelings back in Oakland. Sure, he wants to perform well, whatever. Regardless, he's in a good spot. Max Muncy, monster home run upside for sure. Ketel Marte is fine. DJ LeMahieu, little. I'll let Chop, you like Jazz tonight?
What I mean, you gotta love Mr. Jazzism batting leadoff. I mean, he got moved to the leadoff spot. You got to get in on that.
Dean, I wonder if Dean had something to do with that. Enough complaining on Twitter and stuff about it.
Yeah,
there you go.
Well, I mean, he was hitting sixth. Okay, he hit behind Jacob Stallings, hitting ninth. It's like, what are you doing? Insanity. But now he was even on Twitter saying, like, talking about, like, retweeting people saying how ridiculous it was. Yeah, he's back where he belongs, leading off, and nobody's going to play him. He's 1K more than Ozzie Albies, 5.5K right. Tonight's bumps.
I've heard about it, but no, not really. He has a name for it. He hits a home run. He does his dance. And he comes to home plate. And he looks at the catcher and he goes, "Jism in your face."
Oh, no. I knew that was going to happen. Ryan McCann would not have.
I call bullshit.
You guys got to learn how to read lips. You got to learn how to read lips.
Ryan McCann would have threw down. He was the keeper of the game, Brian. He would not have stood for that. Some catchers would not take kindly to that. Yeah, let's casually move on. Chop, did you give anybody second base you like besides? Oh, you talked about Jazz.
You named most of the guys. Brandon Lowe against Michael Wacha. That looks pretty good to me. Other than that, we can move on.
Give me some third baseman, Chop.
Anthony Rendon, lefty masher, well-known lefty masher. Got to get Anthony Rendon in there against the left-hander. So you mentioned Bregman. Okay, I don't mind that. Bregman typically, he's had a nice bounce back year. He's healthy now, and he's for the Yankees. I think is fine. A guy that I don't know garners too much ownership because he kind of gets lost in the mix most nights. Is a Jose Ramirez. People don't.
He's awesome.
People won't play him because hitter against an aging Devers is pretty dang good when he's on.
I love that call with Devers. Kluber's going to be right now, so yes, he travel soon. This is a great spot to go against him. The other guys that obviously Wilmer against a lefty. Big T taught us that one. We knew you got to play that.
You cracked that code.
Yeah. Austin Riley is against with the platoon batting third, and he's 3,500. What is going on? Yeah, and if you're playing Yahoo tonight, Josh Donaldson is the minimum $7.
Well, Yahoo's like most reactive in like how bad or good players are hitting, right? And $7 is the floor. Is there anybody else that's certainly really goofy? Or
everybody. It's Friday, so they did like their Friday night pricing. You know how they do this sometimes, like with NBA in the beginning of the year, their Friday night, everything is like the Yankees are dirt cheap, but that's also probably a function of their. You could play anyone over there tonight, but except whoever homered yesterday. You probably if some guy
Gallo $7, Stanton $13, Judge $13. Like, oh my gosh!
I'll tell you this: I'm calling a home run tonight.
Okay.
And this is, you called it and it didn't work out for you. And he's been moved down in the lineup. And nobody wants to play him now down at number 7 in the lineup. But tonight's
I tried to make it happen. It was my own personal fetch and it failed, unfortunately. Shortstop. What do you have as far as, and by the way, if there was an issue as far as what's going on there on YouTube, apparently it was lagging there for a second. Producer Steve said he's all over it. I believe he reset it. So we should be good to go. If you guys are having an issue, maybe just hit refresh. And
I hope it didn't ruin the chisel in your face.
Oh no, that'll be out there for here to eternity. People in 300 years, 3,000 years will be studying that clip, I'm sure, like it's the Dead Sea Scrolls. But yeah. All right, Chop, what do you have for me as far as shortstop?
All right, Jeremy Pena's. Love Wander Franco, obviously an absolute electric player, Wander Franco. Tim Anderson, I'll go to the well with Tim Anderson tonight. Batting leadoff against Ober. I don't mind that. And a guy who has not gotten his – I don't necessarily just say I'm going to game stack. I got to have like 8 hitters from the same game or whatever. That I don't do that. But I do like this fairly great hitting conditions. I don't think I got to look at 2 pitchers. So I'm going to have some Corey Seager in there, but I'll recap that. Pena, Franco, Seager, Anderson jump off the charts to me. All low ownership except for Pena, who's going to gather some higher ownership at his price tag on FanDuel and the leadoff spot. But man, that kid's got an electric bat.
Was it Altuve who crowned him? We say he's going to be a superstar.
Yeah, I think it was Altuve. But
yeah,
Dean, what do you think of how you think that movie looks now? You let Correa walk and go ahead because you get Pena in your back pocket to bring up. What do you think about that move now?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Are they delegating those funds elsewhere as far as the context of the contract for Correa? I mean, ideally, I think I'd rather have Correa, or if anything, you have the depth of both of them. It'd be awesome. But the Correa signing wasn't that crazy, if I remember correctly. It was kind of 3 years, $100 million for Minnesota. Is that what it was?
Yeah, but it was
that crazy.
It was all player control though. So like, if he has a good year, he can opt out after 1 year, after 2 years, whatever he wants to do. It's all under his control. So it's kind of an unfriendly club thing. But yeah. I don't know, Dean.
Did they spend the money on anybody else? I don't think so.
The trade deadline. We wait for the trade deadline.
Yeah,
they're going to do that. But I don't know. I like this kid, man. I think he's got a lot of good qualities to him. I think he's going to be a star. So I like it.
I like him too. From like the 10 at bats I watched, he looks like he belongs. Yeah, that matchup versus Aller and the Palindrome, Glen Otto, not a great ballpark. Fans aren't going to affect the win because there aren't any in Oakland, unfortunately. Do you want to put a number on it, Chop? What's the paid attendance tonight in Oakland?
I mean, it's Friday night. They got to climb up to 5,000 tonight, don't they? On Friday night, got to get to $5,000. But that'd be awesome to be able to go to a ballpark and absolutely sit anywhere you really wanted for like $10.
I think there was a story years ago where Charlie Sheen bought the entire outfield out because he wanted to catch a home run ball. I can't remember which ballpark it was. It might have been the Angels. I don't know. That's and show up in the night the Yankees are showing up because they're going to hit a bunch, I'm sure, right? What do you have to add here, Curtis, as far as shortstop? And I should say, like, Brad Miller is one of those guys in the mix of the cheap players. There's a bunch of lefties lurking in that Oakland bullpen. I think they have 4, but he probably leads off tonight for Texas. If we're looking for cheapie, some salary savers, top of those Giants, I think Brad Miller also in that conversation. But Curtis, shortstop, what do you have?
Well, there's nobody cheaper that at least does give you, he's been terrible, but does give you home run upside with the platoon is Dansby Swanson. He's going to put some at bats together. He's going to get going. He strikes out a ton, but he's batting number 8th, which isn't ideal, but he's 25.
Kevin Roth will tell you what's going on weather-wise all around the country, especially in the one Detroit. That's where we kind of have our eyes on. Curious what he's going to have to say about that. If you get the go-ahead as far as rostering some skewball ball. Outfielder, Kirk D's opening up.
Shohei and Tout are the top ones against Zimmerman, Yordan, Alvarez. I mean, you play all the good bats. So a little bit, be the worst bullpen in the league. So I'm going to, attack. And I think the Tigers are, no one who likes playing the Tigers? Nobody. But so, and Austin Meadows is gonna crank one out tonight. So he's up there for me. And then there's just so many plays I can say Jesse Winker or Rosarina. But
you like Gallo for the dirt minimum, $7 on Yahoo, 2.5 on DK.
You don't need him or whatever, as opposed to over 9K. You can do whatever you want over on Yahoo tonight.
So the thing with Senzatella is, like, the guy plays half his games in Coors Field, and he's got a .65 homer per 9. That's really, really good. And part of that is because his fly ball rate is only 27%. His one skill is getting ground ball guys. You like fly ball guys against ground ball pitchers. That's a thing, right, Curtis? And that seems like a good matchup if you put that together.
Well, if they're talented. That's like Encarnacion used to be. But it's a lot of ground balls. He also pitches really well in Coors, but he's also not going to go in tremendously deep. I think there's going to be a lot of hits in Detroit tonight.
Chop, what do you have as far as outfielders as a whole? Batting second behind Ohtani. Nobody's going to play Soto, just sort of throwing that out there. No one's playing him. You got the boomstick Nelly Cruz versus a lefty as well. Chopper, what do you have as far as some of your favorite outfielders this evening?
What's great about the show, Dean? You put something out there, and all of a sudden you immediately get responses from the good people who are watching. And I've gotten some DMs since the start of the show.
Is Jazz related?
No, this is real, Dean. When I said my internet was acting, I'm getting some DMs, and they're telling me, I'm not the only one, that there's some spectrum issues going on around the country. So, props to everybody who's informing me. So I
Good people
appreciate
out there.
because I am having some issues. So if I stop talking, it's not, if I ignore.
Hunter versus Gallo tonight.
Oh, I didn't get that one yet.
Okay.
Send me some DM on NBA. I want to answer your questions, man. Shoot me some DMs. I steer him wrong too many times, though. My 1v1 and 2v2 skills aren't as good as they used to be. But for the outfield, I do like the 1-2 punch of Shohei and Trout. I like that. And if I'm going to stack that team, I love the 1-2-3, throwing in Rendon. Also, it's expensive, but man, you got some power right there against the left-hander, so I could deal with that. I like the 2 Astros. Jordan, y'all mentioned Kyle Tucker. You mentioned Jazz batting behind like whoever that Jazz, the Miami guy. You know what I'm talking about. Your concept, Dusty Baker, of let's stagger righty lefty in the lineup. But my God, you got to get Kyle Tucker higher than 6th every night. Come on, man, do something. I mean,
I ran about this like every third night about Tucker batting 6th. It's completely ridiculous. But go ahead.
But I
like toast. He's done.
No, he's not. Jesus, he just won the title, the batting title last year. He's very
38
good.
years old.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, Chop's internet goes out right on cue. Oh, okay. So they are. I wasn't sure. I was thinking in my head like 620 as opposed to 615. But yeah, we got Keith Eyster. We got chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. We got from the $1 Million Musings, 2-time millionaire winner Dave Potts. Cheese is good. Hey, Dave, I don't know how your day is going. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but a beloved series of ours is coming back this weekend. Are you aware of this?
Yes, I saw that. And of course, immediately thought of you. I would never have heard of it if it were not for you. And I am so excited, like legit thrilled about this.
What's the series?
Barry.
Oh, that's my
Barry's
favorite.
good.
That's
it's
the
so good.
Number one, and it's the most overlooked show. Nobody talks about it. There is one episode in there that is the greatest episode of all
Karate
time
Girl
in television. Yes. Fuchs is amazing in that episode. What a show.
Chopper, you're an HBO guy. Do you watch Barry?
Yeah, I'm caught up on Barry.
Okay.
Fall was so good. Such a good season finale last night.
No spoilers for the people. Give a couple days.
Dean, you didn't see it yet?
I got a buddy of mine who tells me I got to put it on the list. There's too many good shows. There's too many channels. I haven't started.
Oh my God.
It's like 5 seasons taking.
So good.
I've never even heard of it. What, Snowfall?
Yeah, I'm Googling
I'm writing down right now.
Oh my God.
You
guys don't know about Snowfall?
It's
FX. It's on Hulu. It's on FX, so you can get it on Hulu.
Next day.
Yeah, it's great.
Roth, are you a Barry guy?
Yeah, I watched Barry and I remember thoroughly enjoying it, but it's been like since maybe when it first came out. I saw the first season maybe, but I need to catch back up, and I have no idea where it's at now, but I know I loved it.
Yeah, well, I think COVID kind of derailed it. It's been a couple of seasons, just like Better Call Saul took a couple of seasons, and also Odenkirk had a heart attack, so I think they kind of threw things off as far as production. But yeah, super excited for this weekend. So much good television going on. Better Call Saul, and we got Winning Time on HBO. Chopper, I know you're watching Winning Time. You're watching that, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen the latest one because I was out of town this week, but yeah, I'm definitely watching that show.
All right, and Kirk Dees, you got anything on that?
Yeah, I am a little disappointed, and I also got in trouble.
Oh no spoilers now.
My fiance was in bed asleep, and I turned on the episode, and right at the beginning, it was really, really graphic. And she woke up and she goes, "What the hell are you watching?" And there was this whole thing. And so now I have to watch it in a separate room.
Did she have the same reaction to Tommy and Pam? Because I know you're a big fan of that.
Oh, he got me on that one. Have you seen it, Dean?
I'm aware. Again, it's on the list. I've heard it's good.
Yeah. Okay. Wait till you see episode 2. It's
a lot of people don't get past episode 2.
Bizarre.
I'm going to warn you.
I'm in. I'll watch it. I'll give it a shot, and I'll give you a full report. But Roth, you got to give us some weather. Myself, Chopper, Kirk Dees, we got to step aside and make some lineups. Dave and Keith, they got to give you all some winners. The people want to know what's going down in baseball, so we're going to step aside and get out of here. Do appreciate you guys watching it. Now it's officially crunch time, sponsored by FanDuel. Roth, take it over.
Appreciate it, Dino. Thank you, guys. And yes, we're rolling right in here live into crunch time. As Dean mentioned, sponsored by FanDuel. By the way, be sure to check out FanDuel's $150K Friday MLB squeeze. $30K to first, $5.55 to enter. So $30K, $5, pretty good deal there. You can also sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. New users get a risk-free bet up to $1K. FanDuel Sportsbook users can take advantage of that bonus with their first-time bet. So good things happening over there on FanDuel. And of course, we appreciate them getting the show to you for free. So hopefully you appreciate them as well. I know I appreciate these two gentlemen right here. One, Mr. Dave Potts, aka Cheese is Good. What up, Cheese?
Hey, yeah, pretty good day. Huge slate. Need a little Detroit weather information, but we'll get to that.
I was hoping you were going to say you didn't need it, and
we do need it,
and nobody.
It's not irrelevant. Some people care about it.
That's not ideal.
But let's say hi to Keith first.
Yeah, we got Keith the Iceman as well. What's happened, Ice? I feel like I have not seen you in a week or so. It's been too long.
Yeah, it's probably. Hopefully, we get some news there. But yeah, big slate, like Cheese said, biggest one of the year, I believe. So there are no lack of options if we can't use Scooball.
That's what I like to hear. There's plenty of.
There's a plethora. There for sure is a plethora.
There's plenty of places we can pivot to if we don't like it. Well, the tarp is on in Detroit, at least as of last check, which isn't great because the game's supposed to start in less than an hour, and there's a tarp on the field. It's going to be off and on light rain all night long. They certainly can play in it if they choose to. I saw a quote from one of the managers that said, "We're all going to get together and decide what we want to do." I'm like, okay, well, can you do that, please? Can you have that conversation to make that happen? Light rain is just, sometimes they decide they want to play through it, and sometimes they decide they don't. So I don't know what they're going to do. I legitimately don't know.
And I'm not even sure what that means. Like, do the managers get together and decide if they're playing or not? I don't think that's how it works.
But it seemed like there's both teams getting together, and then there's someone from MLB, and they were going to decide. Let's see.
Well, hopefully they'll just tell us.
It's postponed. It's postponed. That's glorious.
It is.
Well, it is for me. That's yes. All right. Yeah. Whew. Okay. And
well, that
it is agreed. I too need to do some things now. So you're on your own. Cheese and I do some things.
Freddie Peralta is the other guy. He's not going to be owned today. Get him at all season. Michael going up again, but through a slider, it appears for a curveball, and that curveball mile per hour is up about 3.5 miles as well. So I love Kyle Wright for tournaments. He's probably my favorite tournament pitcher on the slate. Let's see, something a little bit cheaper. I'll let Cheese dig into him because he is definitely in play. Struggled a little bit early on in the season as well, but I do like that $7,300 price tag on FanDuel.
Okay, great. You did many things there. You talked us through pitcher wonderfully, and you bought Cheese and I time to do all the things that we had to do. I imagine you now have to do things, right?
Yes. I need to update a couple of Scooball lineups. Yep.
Okay, this is good. It's a good trade-off.
Yeah, we'll go back and forth. I'm not done, but I can talk some pitching for sure.
Okay, real quick before you get into it, I didn't really finish my weather thing before I started like randomly screaming excitement about a postponement, which I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't. It is
exciting.
I didn't realize how excited I was to have that weight lifted. But I do want to talk about Minnesota real fast. A few little spotty showers. I think it's going to kind of rain off and on all night there as well, but it's just not heavy enough. Like it's not what we're going to see in Detroit, where it was like light to borderline. They could play it, but they'll be soaked. I think they're just going to play through lighter rain in Minnesota. So like I have that much concern, but you guys should just play it and stick with it. Okay. Similar in Chicago. I know they moved the game back to avoid the heavy rain. There's a chance of a delay, but I don't think it's a good enough chance that you should worry about it or do anything about it. So just play those spots as if there's no weather, and I'll watch the weather, but I think we're going to be good in both spots. Okay, that's it. I'm done with weather now, Cheese. So you can kind of...
Mitch Garver's out, which, I mean...
I still like the team,
but Keith covered it pretty well. Like, So we're okay here.
I think we're good. I have no idea.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, Keith did. I want everyone to know who is just coming back in the show. Okay. Well, let's see. I will type in the Discord here and see what's up.
Yeah, we'll wait for a second here and see what's going on.
If we're not frozen, you're watching us.
Yeah, I'm in the room now.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, just go ahead and shut it off and Wirecast
and get things figured out here. But I think we should be able to get this handled pretty quickly. Because I have faith in Devin. Like, if I have faith in any human in the world, it's Devin as literally the best person at their job. Okay. I think Devin saved the day, because that's kind of what Devin does. Cheese.
Okay.
You want to kind of go through picture? I think we got a postponement. We've been cutting it out since then, but I think I'll
just kind of hit on all the pitching in case you missed what Keith said. Like, obviously Verlander's the guy. Like, it's not a great matchup, but he is just better than everyone else on the slate. And on DraftKings, you've got money. On FanDuel, it's still pretty easy to make a good lineup with Verlander, and he will be the chalk. But it's spread out enough. For me, we've got this big mid-tier. Keith, give me your little group again before I have to go. I'll talk about Reed Detmers for a while.
So I think Peralta is in play just because of the ownership. I know he has not looked great, and it's a very tough offense in a very tough ballpark. But Peralta's strikeout upside has him in play for me. Kyle Wright would be my favorite of the group at 9K. 35% K rate through his first two. Velocity is up, using the curveball more than the slider. That seems to be working really well for him. Good matchup against Miami. Ranger Suarez, tough ballpark, but I like the price, particularly on FanDuel at 7,300, and then Reed Detmers at 6,700 is another one I like.
Yeah. So I agree with everything there. I'm playing way more Reed Detmers than I think is logical. We have no idea. Like, there's several young guys out there that we kind of have no idea. We have a little bit of idea now on Kyle Wright because we've seen two great starts. I don't think he's going to keep up at this level, but I think it's real. And you can kind of see a reason behind it. At the cheaper stuff, we're looking at Reed Detmers, who's his like a really elite top prospect, but only a couple starts in. He hasn't done anything yet. Who knows? Whereas otherwise you're looking at like Chris Flexen, who is just this super boring dude who's going to strike out nobody, but probably go 5 or 6 innings and not get blown up. Like, he's fine. I'm also going to throw Glenn Otto as just random cheap young guy who, like, this is a really talented guy. He's been really good in the minors, and whoop-de-doo, we have no idea if he's going to be good or not. I think he is, and I think he's cheap enough to take shots. So I'm playing a ton of Reed Detmers and even a pretty weird amount of Glenn Otto. With that being said, I think you're probably better off playing guys like Corey Kluber and Ranger Suarez. I'm also playing Zach Gallen on DraftKings, a guy who is a near elite pitcher at his best. This is only his second start of the year, coming off 66 pitches. We don't even know if he's fully healthy. It's not a great matchup, but I think he's too cheap as well. So pretty much I'm playing Verlander. And if I can't afford Verlander on FanDuel, I'm playing mostly Detmers or Suarez, a little Kluber in there. And then on DraftKings, I'm playing one of these cheap SP2s, assuming I can't fit a Verlander right combo.
Geez, can I, for tournaments, go double with these cheapy random off the board guys? Because there's so many games.
I'm doing it.
All the bats.
Yeah, I'm doing it. You're pretty much, so other than Verlander, like, it's really unlikely that we see the slate breaking game. And really, even with Verlander, it's not super likely. These guys like Julio Urias and Freddie Peralta and Corey Kluber, like, yeah, they're good pitchers, but we're still not fully stretched out. None of these guys look to be in top form yet. So I think we get a bunch of like 20-point 20-point DraftKings, 35-point FanDuel games where it just gave me the cheap guy who's pretty good for 5 innings with some upside.
Okay, great. With that, we've kind of gone through all the pitchers there, and Ice, you feel like you've gone through it. You've gone through it twice, so you're probably fairly content.
Yeah, the one guy I didn't mention the second time around was Kopech. With that weather there, and he has control issues anyway, it's a pretty risky play, but there is some strikeout upside there with Kopech for sure.
Great. Where is that? Is that Minnesota?
Yes.
It's also good pitching weather. Like, if it's going to be wet and he's got control issues, not great, but it is good weather for pitchers with the cold and the wind. Okay, let's talk about some of the bats, and I like starting with some stacks. Ice, why don't you lead us off in that category?
All righty. So the Angels have a matchup against a lefty, low strikeout lefty, and Bruce Zimmerman. I like them quite a bit.
And if you don't mind, can you go start with this is what I think the chalk is, and then go into some pivots?
Yeah, the Angels should be pretty chalky. Trout and Ohtani in particular. The rest of the stack won't be terribly popular. There's so many games on this slate that I don't think you really need to worry about ownership. Some of the Yankees bats will be a little popular. Trout and Ohtani will be popular. But outside of that, there's really nothing to be concerned about ownership wise. So, I mean, I think on a slate this large, you just play your favorite stacks and not worry about ownership hardly at all. At the higher end stacks, like expensive stacks, I really like Houston today up against Ross Stripling, who I don't think has much left. Had some decent years with the Dodgers, but not a very long leash on him either. I like Houston a good amount. The Dodgers are obviously in play every single day. Nick Martinez has looked okay coming over from Japan, but I don't think he's any type of a matchup we need to be worried about with these powerful Dodgers bats. Texas is in a tough pitcher's park in Oakland, but they're up against a young pitcher who has struggled to open the season, so I like them quite a bit. And then Atlanta, particularly on DraftKings, Atlanta is underpriced, and they're against Trevor Rogers from Miami, who has struggled. He was really good last year, but his first 2 starts this year have not gone well. So very interested in Atlanta, particularly on DraftKings where they're very cheap.
Great. Cheese, you want to talk through some stacks? Anything different? Or
yeah, so I really don't think there's any such thing as chalk on this slate. Like, it's so spread out, and there's no real clear, hey, this is the best team and the second best team. I think you can play who you like and just not even think about it. As far as what it's certainly not sneaky, but that I would say I like the best would be the Dodgers. I like the Phillies and the Yankees, but Texas is my favorite overall stack, and I don't think anyone will play them. If I had to just pick 2, I would be going Dodgers and Rangers.
Okay. Anything else you want to add or throw in?
No.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Let's go position by position. Cheese, start us off at catcher, please.
So catcher first base on FanDuel is very first base heavy. That sounds normal, but there's actually catcher's been pretty good a lot of this year. But we're looking at guys like Freeman and Rizzo, who would be very much, you kind of have to play them in your stack. You don't really have to play them on their own. I like Pete Alonso as a one-off, even when I'm playing Zach Gallen. Max Muncy is going to be a key play on both sites, but really more second base on both sites. On FanDuel, we get Brad Miller at first, whereas he's third on DraftKings. The other spend ups are kind of weird. Like, this whole slate is just strange in that most of the best players aren't in ideal matchups, like Vlad Guerrero's against Verlander. Matt Olson's against a lefty, Abreu's against a pretty good pitcher, Hoskins against a strikeout guy. So for me, first base is pretty much Freeman and Rizzo kind of standing out, unless you want to go cheap. And then I'm kind of using first base as a play the guy in my stack position. We need to mention on the DraftKings side, Darren Ruff is the way too cheap guy at 2,400.
Okay. Can you go over just catcher alone?
And catcher on DraftKings?
Yeah.
So they did this thing with the Braves again, where they act like the Braves are a minor league team and it's silly and cut it out and just play Travis d'Arnaud. I mean, yeah, Sal Perez is great. A bunch of guys are great, Real Muto, but d'Arnaud is so cheap. It's a mistake and you should play him.
Okay. I kind of take your cues from Cheese there and do catcher first together, or all of it.
Yeah, I'll just touch on the DraftKings catchers first to get that out of the way.
Sure.
One tournament pivot I really like is Mike Zunino. Big power against Michael Wacha. He is hitting ninth, but Wacha has reverse splits. He allows plenty of power to right-handed hitters. So I like Zunino as a tournament guy. Will Smith for the Dodgers, another one I really like. And d'Arnaud is way too cheap. So, I mean, 2,200, he's automatic. He's the auto cash play. Need to figure out what to do with him in tournaments because he likely comes with quite a bit of ownership. On to first base, love the Dodgers guys, Freeman and Muncy. Matt Olson in a lefty-lefty matchup. Not many people are going to play him with the Dodgers guys there. Looking to save some money, Cheese touched on Detmers. I like Detmers as well, but the Baltimore guys are really cheap here. Ryan Mountcastle and Trey Mancini, both of them have a lot of power. And Detmers, we're just not sure that he is elite at this point yet. So I'm fine taking a couple chances on those Baltimore first basemen who are cheap. I love the Houston stack. Yuli Gurriel is in play for me. And I think that should about cover it.
Okay. Take us to second base, if you don't mind.
All right. Trey Turner is going to be the Dodger over here at this position. Brandon Lau is a little bit underpriced with all of his power. Probably my favorite play is Ozzie Albies against the lefty Rogers, who I mentioned has had some struggles here. Muncy does have second base eligibility as well. Absolutely love him there. Ketel Marte is another one I really like. He's facing a lefty day today, which is his stronger side of the plate. And then Marcus Semien in your Texas stacks.
All right, Cheese.
Yeah, I think Muncy's the play, like salary wise. Again, I really like Texas, so I really like Marcus Semien. But second base overall, it's just been a really good position most of this season. Like Ketel Marte, I think, is way too cheap on FanDuel. You can like Jazz Chisholm is interesting. Brandon Lau is interesting. Like you're playing a good second baseman. I don't think you want to scrape for nothing at this position. And it's easy on FanDuel, especially with where Muncy is priced and where Marte is priced. And then on DraftKings, Albies is a little too cheap.
Okay, great. Cheese, take us to third.
Okay, so we've got more kind of pricing discrepancy. The DraftKings Braves things, Austin Riley. It's pretty goofy. And then you also have Brad Miller at third. FanDuel, really only Jose Ramirez is priced up. I do like Ramirez a lot as a tournament play. And you can get up to 43, even in a Verlander lineup, but especially in a non-Verlander lineup, it's really easy. But we see all these other guys like pretty close to 3K with like Rendon and Donaldson, probably my two favorites. I do like Bregman. I don't think you need to go cheap just for the sake of doing it, but Taylor Ward is 2,400 batting cleanup. So he would be your cheap guy on FanDuel. But you're not really chasing salary savers so much outside of stacks because they're just like you can get up to like Donaldson or Rendon pretty easily.
All right. Ice.
Yeah, I like a lot of the same guys. Bregman is probably my favorite. Agree that Rendon is a phenomenal play. Taylor Ward is a great cheap guy. Manny Machado is an interesting tournament pivot. Urias is a talented lefty, but I mean, we're getting Machado unowned against a lefty here. And Urias doesn't have the longest leash. So if he's chased from the game early, you might get the weaker part of that Dodgers bullpen. Don't mind him. Aledmus Diaz is the other one I would look at for a value play. He's hitting 7th for the Astros.
Okay. That brings us to shortstop. Ice.
All right. Let's see here. Trey Turner, again, mentioned him at second, eligible at shortstop as well. Corey Seager is just underpriced, 3,400. We love that Texas stack, facing a weak pitcher. So he is a great play. Francisco Lindor is off to a great start. he is expensive and facing a pretty decent pitcher, but I still like him in this spot. He'll hold the platoon advantage throughout the bullpen due to his switch hitting abilities. And then Jeremy Pena is my favorite value play for the Astros.
Cheese.
So I'm going to love Corey Seager the most. By all means, play Trey Turner. If you're just sitting on a bunch of money on both sides, Turner is the guy you want, but he is expensive, and he should be expensive. I get it. I think you can the salary gap on FanDuel, like, it doesn't excite me to play the cheaper guys. Like Pena feels like he should be more than $500 cheaper than Seager, or even $1,100 cheaper than Turner. You can play Trevor Story and Bogarts as well. I think Boston will. It's never great to play in Tampa, but it's still a pretty good team. And I agree. Like on FanDuel, Keith mentioned Lindor. Like, nobody is going to pay $4,200 on FanDuel for Lindor, and he's. He has top of the position upside, so I like him as well.
All right, outfield.
So this is where the sites diverge even more in the outfield, where we're playing the old super expensive studs and then really way too cheap guys on DraftKings. Whereas in FanDuel, you can pretty much live in the mid-range. Trout and Ohtani are probably the two best players on the slate, and it's great. You can spend at least $4K on at least one hitter, maybe two. But if you're not spending up to them, you just don't have to pay that much. Like, we've got like the Yankees outfielders like Judge and Stanton are down there. Tucker and Alvarez are not too expensive. I love Tucker at $3,200. Even Betts is only $3,500. So it's not quite as enticing to play the Austin Slater, Darren Ruff types on FanDuel, but they are down there and they're too cheap. I would say Ruff is my favorite. Slater is somewhat of a pinch hit risk. We don't really know what they're going to do with him when a righty comes in. They could sit him for Jock when the switch happens, but we don't know. But for that, I do like Ruff better than Slater for that pinch hit risk. On DraftKings, there's just cheap stuff. Like Slater is super cheap. Marcell Ozuna is way too cheap. Bellinger is way too cheap. And the expensive guys are super expensive, but you can still get one or two of them. And it is the same name. So Ohtani, Trout, Stanton, Judge, Alvarez, Tucker are my favorite little combos. And don't forget a Phillies power bat in your tournaments. Peralta's look bad, and even when he looks good, he's a fly ball pitcher.
Okay, great. Ice, what are you doing in the outfield?
Yeah, Alvarez and Tucker are my two favorite plays. Two more Astros, surprisingly. Joey Gallo is still underpriced. We're still waiting for him to break out of this beginning of the season slump, but the power is still there. I assure you. I'm just going to keep chasing it. Let's see here. Tournament pivots. Randy Arozarena in Tampa, mentioned Waka's reverse splits. He's coming with low ownership. One guy I really like today, Nelson Cruz against a lefty. Like 2 years ago, anytime Nelson Cruz was against a lefty, you just played him no matter what. Now he's down here at 2,900. Yes, he's over 40 years old, but the man still has some power in there. I love Nelson Cruz as a one-off.
Okay, that's it.
Yep, the Cheese covered a lot of it. I like a lot of those same guys. Yeah, Trout, Ohtani, Ozuna, all three of my favorites. The Astros guys being at the top for me.
Okay, let's play pick a home run. Cheese, you want to start with the pick a home run game?
I'll take Kyle Tucker.
Ice, you want to pick a home run?
It's Joey Gallo night. Come on, we got
There you go.
I like it. I like the confidence there. Okay, let's get back to some QQs here. We've got still plenty of time. Lock is 5 minutes after.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. Falcor says QQ David Peterson as a pitcher on FanDuel. That's a baseball player? He sounds like he should work in an office building.
He does both. Yeah, he's the Mets pitcher. He does he makes copies a lot of times too.
It sounds like it.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I have zero. But he's not really that far off from all these other guys we're talking about.
Okay. All right. Your interest in him is about as interesting as his name. Just like,
Yeah. Like, I don't actually know what he's priced because I'm not playing him at all.
David Peterson.
7,600. It's totally fine at 7,600. Like, because you're comparing him to, Chris Flexen and Bailey Ober and Reed Detmers and Ranger Suarez. Like, he's not really any worse than those guys. So feel free. He's behind all of them for me.
Okay, great. Achilles, DK Cash, Ice. We're just going to alternate. So this one's on you. Who do you prefer in the outfield, Betts, Judge, or Tucker?
Man, did he say a site? Tucker's quite a bit cheaper on
this. Was
FanDuel,
DK Cash.
DK. I'd go Judge of the three on DK.
All right. Jay says, if I'm stacking the Rangers, does playing a one-off Yankee make sense, aka Judge, in DK single entry? Cheese?
It does. Very much. That's almost exactly what I'm doing.
Okay, great. Aside says FanDuel Cash 3v3. Trout, Brandon Lau, Lurie Garcia, or Tucker Alvarez and Wilmer Flores?
I'll go the second one there. A little bit more balanced.
Great. Cheese, FanDuel Cash questions, just straight up. You want Flores or Ketel Marte?
I want Marte.
Sean says, hey, sorry, guys, I missed the pitching part of the show. I think a few people did, as our start time was 10 minutes earlier than normal. So I think a few people did miss that. Roth, do you think Minnesota game is safe enough for pitchers? And can I play Ober in a FanDuel GPP? It's going to rain in Minnesota, but I don't think it ever rains hard enough for them to stop playing. So yes, I think you can play whoever you want there. I'm a little nervous, but not nervous enough that I think you should do anything about it. So just play who you want, where you want, and let me be nervous, and you just do it. Cheese, can we play Ober in a FanDuel GPP?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like, he's again in that big glob. Like, he's a pretty good pitcher. I like him in general. It's just like matchup wise, he kind of just falls below for me, but I wouldn't try to talk you out of it.
All right. Dan Jan, Ice, DK GPP, Peralta right or right pitch?
Give me right, Kopech. A little bit worried about the weather for Kopech, but I'm more worried about Peralta.
And when you say worried about the weather for him, you don't mean you're worried it's going to get postponed. You're worried that he's going to have control issues in the rain. Correct.
Yes. He's a pitcher that's got a walk rate near 10%, add a wet, slippery baseball into that. And yeah, I see a lot of ways it could go wrong for Mr. Kopech.
Okay. Crazy Coop. Cheese, is this not a bullpen game for the Giants tonight? Is this a bullpen game? It
is a bullpen game for the Giants. Yes.
Okay. He did. I wish he followed up on that and said, like, because this. So Cheese, fill me in. This is a bullpen game for the Giants. So don't play the Giants pitcher, I guess.
Right. I mean, you wouldn't anyway. But like, so I guess the question would be, do we like the Nationals?
Yes. That's the question.
The only thing I would say about it is it's good for Juan Soto. I mean, Juan Soto can hit lefties anyway. Juan Soto isn't really facing a lefty. Washington is a totally fine stack. They're in this big group of 15 stacks that are more or less tied. But I don't love it.
Cheese, when you heard Cardi say yesterday that Soto is the best hitter in baseball, what was your immediate reaction?
I'm glad Cardi came around to figure that out.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
Now, I think Cardi hung on to Trout as the best hitter a little too long. But I mean, you can't really blame a guy for saying maybe the best player ever is the best player. But yeah, Soto has passed him. I totally agree.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Let's see. Dan Jan, why is nobody playing Atlanta? Why is nobody playing Atlanta, Ice?
I think people are playing Atlanta, just maybe not enough people are playing Atlanta because of how many teams there are on the slate. It's too spread out. And I agree that Atlanta at that price is too low owned.
Geez, you're itching to get in there.
I want to say, I think Atlanta will be, if there's chalk, it will definitely be Atlanta on DK. I think they'll have the highest owned place, honestly.
Okay.
Because they're so cheap. I would be stunned if Darno, Albies, Riley, and Ozuna aren't like super popular.
The one thing, like Trevor Rogers was really good. I'm not sure if people believe in Trevor Rogers or not. So that's the thing I'm questioning on. Do people respect Trevor Rogers still?
If he would enough that they're not going to play the Braves on FanDuel, but the pricing on DK is just too much. Like I don't think they'll get looked over at all.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Overlooked, looked over.
Yeah.
Both work.
Sure.
DK Cash, Ice, Turner. This is a 3v3. Turner, Betts, Alvarez, or Seager, Trout, Judge.
Give me Seager, Trout, Judge.
Aside says FanDuel Cash. Cheese, what are your thoughts on Nick Ahmed as a last piece? He's 2K. He's 2K over there.
Yeah, he's okay. I didn't actually even realize until an hour ago that he was coming back. Yeah, and they put him in a good lineup spot. I think he's fine.
All right. Ice J says, is a full 5-man stack a better route on a larger slate like today, or you can get away with a 4-3-1 build in higher dollar DK single entry?
I think on a slate with this many teams, there's a higher likelihood of like one team putting up 10 or 12 runs, and that's the team that you want. So I would do 5-man stacks today.
Interesting. Great answer. Thank you. Okay, Cheese. Jay Sam says, outside of Slater, who is the biggest pinch hit risk for San Francisco? When I did some game log watching, which I know is dangerous in parentheses, I saw Flores has usually been playing full game.
Yeah, so the way they've been doing it, Ruff and Flores are probably going to stay in. That's my lean. So I would say Slater and Dubon are probably the main pinch hit risks. But like we haven't seen enough to know. But I'm leaning on Ruff and Flores probably staying in the whole game.
Okay. Ice, DK, GPP, last man in. We need a big bat. We need this person to go yard twice. I made that part up, but the question is, Arozarena or Stanton?
Oh man, it's still Stanton. I like Arozarena, but Stanton's just a better hitter.
Okay. All right. BHB, DK Cash, Ruff or Slater? Geez, I feel like you just talked about these two dudes.
I take Ruff. Like I'm a little more confident that he stays in the game longer.
All right. Achilles, FanDuel, Cash, Ice, Ketel Marte, J-Ram, or Turner Donaldson?
That's really close. Slightly lean the second one.
Great. J Sam's, FanDuel, single entry. Cheese. Do you like Belt in your San Francisco stacks? A lot of people talking about San Francisco.
So here's the thing on DraftKings, nobody's going to play Belt even in stacks because he and Darren Ruff are the same position and Ruff is so cheap. I love Belt for that reason. And yes,
this was a FanDuel single entry for what it's worth.
Oh, FanDuel. I was thinking DraftKings. So FanDuel, yes. And I also don't think he'll be super popular there because he's more expensive than most of the other pieces. Like, yeah, I think he's the guy that will just go overlooked more than he should on both sides.
Right. D-Rock, DK, GPP, Flexen or Rajas?
Neither. There's just, I mean, Rogers has more upside, but I don't trust his form early in the season. Let me see who I like better in that range. That was DK.
This DK GPP, yes.
Yeah, I would play Gallon at 6,300 ahead of them. Yeah, Glenn Otto, like Cheese mentioned, if you, at 5,800, I would play both of them ahead of those two.
All right. Fick says, DK GPP Cheese, do Detmers and Otto have enough upside?
So the answer sort of depends on what you think the upside of the other pitchers in that range are. To me, it's the same. So, I mean, I say yes, but that's not because they have huge upside. Like they pretty much are both 5 innings is the upside, but 5 innings, 6 strikeouts and a win is to me, plenty of upside at those salaries.
Okay. Falcor says, Ice, should I just spend up for Verlander and the 3K range on FanDuel?
So play Verlander and 3K hitters is the question.
I think that's
Yeah.
what I was gathering from
I mean,
it.
yes, I think that provides a lot of upside. Yep.
I can't do it. I can't just play the expensive pitcher and a bunch of hitters I'm not excited about. It's just not fun.
Well, you
There's
don't
still
have to
something-
on FanDuel. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Like you can play all really great hitters with Verlander.
Okay, well that is fun. Okay.
Yeah, you would have it. You would consider it to be fun. I assure you.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like Rendon and Bregman, Seager, all in that 3K range. Like it's a pretty loaded 3K range.
Okay. Achilles FanDuel Cash. Do I want Cheese Brad the righty masher Miller or Ketel Marte?
As much as I love Miller in Texas, I would play Marte and Cash.
Okay. Vic says DKGPP, Alonzo Brantley or Otani McCormick with a Houston stack?
I would do the first one with Brantley.
Okay, great. Beaner, FanDuel GPP, Wright or Verlander?
Verlander.
Dan Jan, is a 1-5 Braves too chalky tonight on a DKGPP? We think it's chalky, but is it too chalky with this much ownership getting spread out? Ice?
I think it'll be spread out enough that you're okay doing that.
Okay. Do you have to get different somewhere, pitcher, do something a little?
Even at pitcher, like I think you can still play Verlander. I wouldn't play like Verlander and Suarez, which is like a pretty chalky combination. So I would probably make a pivot on one of the pitchers.
Great. Okay. Falcor, do you trust Wright on FanDuel, Cheese?
Ish. Like I trust him as much as anyone outside of Verlander. But I don't truly trust anyone outside of Verlander.
Right. Okay. That's a good answer. Achilles, FanDuel, Cash, Ice, Simeon Bregman or Trey Turner and Donaldson?
Another really close one. Second one.
Raymond, DKGPP, do you like Slater or Mancini, Cheese?
I like Slater.
Jay, DK single entry. This is stacking the Rangers. You like Verlander, Judge, or Peralta Betts?
Verlander, Judge.
D-Rock, DKGPP. I think we've got about 4 minutes here until lock if I've timed this properly. DKGPP from D-Rock, Kopech or Peralta?
Probably Peralta.
All right. Is it Kopech? Am I doing too much with adding the T? There's no T.
Kopech, and there's a silent E-Y at the end. Kopechi.
Is there really?
That'd be great.
Steve Hoff. Hey, Steve says FanDuel GPP, Renfroe McCutcheon or a Rosarina and Ruff?
A Rosarina Ruff.
Excellent. Big Mofo. Gotta be my favorite name.
Man, I want to get this answer right for this guy.
You don't want to get it wrong. Big Mofo comes knocking on your door. FanDuel GPP strategy question, Cheese. Do you look at tying your SP to your stacks? Example, if you like a Dodger stack, do you try to work in a Dodger starting pitcher in lineups for correlation?
No, I don't dislike it. Like if it lands there, that's fine. But if I don't like that pitcher more than the other guy to begin with, I don't try to play him to correlate it. Like the win is just not worth that much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Achilles, Ice, do you remember when Josh Donaldson was a Blue Jay and good at baseball?
I do remember both of those things. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, the good at baseball was as recently as yesterday and today.
Yeah.
So yes, that part.
Okay. That was actually the question. I'll give you another one though. Devin says, hey, a lot of Flex and Verlander pairing in GPPs. Any issue with being heavy on that pairing in a DK GPP?
So the bat really likes flexing. And I'm just very concerned about the upside. Like you're hoping for like 6 innings and 4 Ks and a win. So I like taking chances on the Detmers, the Gallons, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just hoping for a few more strikeouts. So I think I would make sure that I'm pivoting a little bit off of flexing.
Okay, good. Beaner, FanDuel GPP, Tucker Alvarez or Alvarez Garcia? Assuming this is the same Alvarez, the question becomes Tucker or Garcia.
Tucker. Get Tucker in there with him.
Right. NBA DFS, FanDuel Cash, B Miller and B Miller versus Gallo.
Gallo for me.
Okay. Actually, we caught up on all the questions just about in time. We got about a minute left. If you got those questions, get them on in. Falcor, is tonight a night just picking the best spots without stacking? Cheese, I kind of heard Ice's take on this where he wants full stacks.
I want full stacks. Like there aren't enough best spots out there to pick them. Like I don't think we see 50 home runs tonight where you can pick out 8 of them. I'm stacking personally.
Okay. All right. Is Kopech, nailed it. Is Kopech safer than Peralta? Crystal ball emoji. Ice, is Kopech safer than Peralta?
I think they are both very high risk, but both very high upside.
Okay. So no
more upside for Peralta. Peralta has a lot of home run risk in that park, and he has been extremely wild to begin the year. Kopech just doesn't have the leash to go very deep into the game, so you need a lot of strikeouts per inning.
Okay. All
Peralta theoretically could go 7 innings. Like, I mean, the chances of everything working out is slim, but Kopech, it just couldn't happen.
But the question is, which of them is safer? So Peralta's got the greater upside, but which one has the higher floor?
I mean, I would say Peralta has a higher chance of going negative, which I guess then I'd say Kopech is safer, but I don't, you can't play either of them for safety because neither of them is safe.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Beaner says, do you guys like Belly? Ice, do we like Belly?
Yeah, I mean, huge power, Dodger stack. Yep.
Great. We have hit the lock, I do believe. A few more QQs coming in after lock. Guys, if you're watching on the YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. If you recall, last time we were here doing the same thing, you hit like enough times, you got a Spider-Man home run call, and the guy's first at bat, he hit the home run. I don't know, Cheese, if you were watching there, but it was pretty fascinating stuff. TJ.
Oh yeah, no, I saw it. Yeah, first at bat, you knew it was coming. I mean, Spidey knows.
Spidey knows. He's got Spidey senses. He knows what's happening. Cheese, how long until Matt Carpenter makes it back to the show?
You know what's so? I mean, you know, I love this guy. Like, I assumed that he would just call it a day and go home and be done when they sent him down. Mm-hmm. But he likes playing baseball, so they sent him down to AAA, and he's down there mashing. He's got homers in 2 of the last 3 games. At some point, they're going to need a bat.
Yeah,
and they're going to call him. He's not going to be an everyday player even for a week this year, but he'll get a shot and he'll come up and he's got a few more homers in him. Give him 3 weeks. Come up, hit a home run. It'll happen.
I assume this dude has been in the league a long time and has made a lot of money.
Yeah, he's fine. He can retire and everything's fine.
But he is just down there with AAA guys. Just
like he's like, yeah, I'll go
on the road in vans.
I mean, he's only 36. It's not like he's 45 doing this. But like, I think he's just
36 and it's pretty old. It's
yeah. But trust me, I keep my eye on that when he hit a homer like last night, and it was pretty exciting.
Yeah. Okay.
Always exciting.
All right. A few more QQs. John Tom DKGPP 3v3, and the third of the 3v3 has no name. But Ice, good luck. Verlander, Trout, Adele, or Tucker, Jordan, and a mid 9K pitcher.
Give that to me one more time.
Verlander, Trout, Adele, or Tucker, Jordan, and a mid 9K pitcher.
I like the second one, and your 9K pitcher is Kyle Wright.
Ooh, very nicely done. All right, Dan Jan, Cheese, you like Suarez over Peralta or Kopech?
I like Suarez over both of them.
Let's see. Dan Jan just with a report here. Gallo, 6% owned in the 100K GPP. What do you think about that number, Cheese?
Well, I'll tell you what I think about it. He put the laughy face after it. I don't know if he's laughing because that's high or because it's low. Like, I'm not even sure.
It's about right.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm not sure what
right
we think. Yeah.
Okay. Aside says, am I stupid? I'm fading Trout in FanDuel Cash. Ice, is this stupid for an Alvarez Tucker combo?
No, I don't think it's stupid at all. The guy is coming back from just being hit on the hand by a baseball, so he may not be 100%. And I mean, fading hitters is never stupid in baseball.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good way to end it, actually. Guys, if you haven't signed up for Rotogrinders Premium, you should. We get all the best tools in the industry. And if you're still with us live, I meant to bring this up off the top of the show. Let me see if I can pull it up here, because I know we've got some extra goodies for you today. The NBA Playoff Primer. If you're playing NBA DFS, the NBA Playoff Primer is free for everybody. You can find it on the NBA page on Rotogrinders. So go check that out if you're watching for free. There's more free content for you.
They had FanDuel had their monthly free roll 2 nights ago, and it was for NBA. I didn't even know NBA was still going on. I thought somebody had won and it was over. So I just went to Lineup HQ, which has been amazing all year. I X'd out 2 guys. I hit build. I put that in, and I got quite a bit of money. It was glorious. Like
on a free roll.
The stuff is good.
It's just so good, Cheese. So good. Love it. All right. Well, you heard the man. Just we build the lineups for you. If you I
would never have like you wonder if David Peterson is a real pitcher. I wonder if Bruce Brown is a real person who plays basketball. And
so you X'd him out. You're like, I don't want this dude.
No, I played him and he was really good, apparently. I wouldn't have guessed he was a real person if we played that game. Is this a guy who works in my office or an NBA player?
All right. We got one more question from Beaner, and then we'll get out of here. Ice, if you fade Trout, can you play Ohtani?
Yes. Ohtani can hit 2 home runs and Trout can go for 4. So absolutely.
Sure. Why not? All right. Good stuff here. For Ice, for Cheese, and for our fantastic production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.